Get frightened when I say book. I know many of you don't read, you just text. And you think that using your two thumbs makes you equal to Shakespeare, but before the two-thumb method, there was a thing called penmanship. Before the two-thumb message, there was a thing called books. Before the two-thumb message, there were movies based upon books. And the other night I couldn't sleep. It was around 1 in the morning. I got up and I watched a movie, and it was Preezy's Honor, which I had seen years ago and forgotten how good it was. And the reason I became fascinated again by Preezy's Honor is because it was written by probably one of the finest novelists that I've ever read. In some ways, Richard Condon. And he wrote The Manchurian Candidate. He wrote Mile High, which I told you was about prohibition and how it was created, how prohibition had been created by a man who would then take over the rackets of the booze racket. He put in prohibition. How? By funding women's groups who wanted to ban alcohol. And once the alcohol became illegal, he was ready with smuggling the alcohol. And it's an amazing book, very much like the drugs in America today. Who knows who's funding the anti-drug hysteria in America? Well, what do we really think? Should things really change? Why do you think there's such a battle against legalizing drugs? I mean, I'm not in favor of drug usage. I think it's a curse and a scourge, and it's destroyed our country. But you're at a point where you don't know what's destroying it more. The number of people incarcerated, the amount of police we have watching everything we do, or the drugs themselves. So anyway, so he wrote the Manchurian Candidate, he wrote Mile High, and he also wrote Preezy's Honor. So I started to read, so I watched the movie about 30 minutes, and then I pick up the novel. I just happened to get the 3 of his books in the hardcover again. I ordered them. And I started to read Preezy's Honor, and I found out that the movie was very true to the book. They copied almost the work, see, Richard Condon was actually one of the screenwriters for the movie. Directed, by the way, by John Huston, one of his funny, while he was still living, and his daughter Angelica Huston was in it. Jack Nicholson, if you remember, was in that movie. Now remember, 1985 is a long time ago. 85, 99, 30, 25 years ago, it's hard to believe, right? If I say 1985, you believe it's 25 years ago. I do reversals and backwards now. So I say, oh, 1985, why, that was just yesterday? No, it was 25 years ago. So I said, wait a minute, what does that really mean? Well, put yourself in 1985 and say 25 years ago, that would be 1960. Impossible to believe. Okay, so I'm going to read you from the book, and I'm going to show you what good writing is. Just sitting in a hotel lobby under a shiny green balabunal hat, which by itself could return millinery to a leading place in the arts, she had slowed down the lobby traffic, as Charlie could see from across the lobby, to -9 miles an hour. He studied everyone who was within sight of her in the room, pitying poor Paulie, and he imagined that he could see old men's eyes getting misty, room clerks and bystanders developing erections, and every woman who saw her realizing that she was doomed to hostile dreams that night. She had turned Charlie's legs to water just by sitting there when he came into the lobby. Now, that's the character, the Jack Nicholson character, and the femme fatale was played by Kathleen Turner, who I didn't think was that fantastic, but Charlie Fontana's apparently in love with her, right? Now, I want to read you one sentence when he falls in love with her. And he flies out to L.A. to meet this woman he fell in love with at a wedding, a mob wedding. And he meets her in L.A., and he's courting her now. He's totally in love with her, absolutely in love with her after one day. So they get into a car after a restaurant, and they drive up the Pacific Coast Highway. Let me read you one paragraph. I want to show you what writing can do. They drove to the ocean, then up the Pacific Coast Highway, and Charlie felt taller, better, greater, kinder, and smarter than he had ever felt in his life. Do you hear a sentence like this? I'm going to read it again. He's in love now. He's a gangster. He's a killer. And yet he's in love with this woman. They drove to the ocean and up the Pacific Coast Highway, and Charlie felt taller, better, greater, kinder, and smarter than he'd ever felt in his life. I thought that was an amazing sentence. I don't know if people could even write about love in that way anymore, what it does to a human heart. The illusion of love, because it's all an illusion, as you well know. Remember, I started the show by saying we're going to talk about illusions and allusions today on the program, Illusions of Grandeur, by example, Mayor Bloomberg. Then we talked about allusions in Western literature, such as The Sun Also Rises in Day of August. So now we have the illusion of romantic love and what physiological and emotional effect it has on this character. Where Charlie felt taller, better, greater, kinder, and smarter than he ever felt in his life. Now, maybe you remember those feelings from when you were 17. I don't know.